Hey, y'all, welcome to Thomas Family Life. Glad to have you. I have my great friend AJ on the video on the podcast today with me. We go way back. And so before we really get into this conversation about land and you want to get when folks want to do homesteading, and kind of the process to get there, as you're looking for land and trying to figure out what's the right place to get. I know we've made a bunch of mistakes, and so anyway, I'm gonna talk about that, but I want my main man AJ to kind of introduce himself, and then we'll just jump into it, y'all.
Man, Roland, thank you, man. I appreciate the introduction. Yeah, man, we've known each other basically all of our lives, childhood on.
Yeah.
And experience wise, I'm now 34 years old. I'm a realtor, obviously here in Austin, Texas. I also do real estate in Houston, Texas, and I've been licensed now 2.5 years. Been over 18 million in total production. Now 78 transactions. 26 of those are this year in 2022. And so, man, I'm moving and I'm rolling.
Yeah.
But that's not what I hang my hat on. Is really the integrity behind the service that I provide clients. Just giving simple instructions, not overcomplicating the buying process. Let's just make things simple, man, where we can digest it, very elementary, and then just enjoying the process, man. Buying and selling homes, land, homesteading. These conversations are good and easy. And thank you, man, for bringing a platform about or us tabling these topics. Again, my name's ajrandle. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. You may see the Akarji Real Estate Group branding. That is my real estate company, and I look forward to serving you all.
Sweet. Thank you, man. Thank you. So, dude, so this is our second land that we purchased, right? We had these big dreams, and you see all the videos on YouTube, but we bought some land out here in the middle of nowhere, and we started and got to going. Now we got this huge food forest, and folks are just going for it, and it seems all legit and cool and fun until you buy the wrong land, like I did. my first land. I'm gonna throw some pictures in here, but man, when my first land, dude, we bought an old rice field. Now, first off, I didn't know rice grew in Texas. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea rice grew in Texas. And so I bought this old rice field, and it was cool. I mean, I bought it. I had bad credit, and I was still able to buy the land, and we'll talk about some of that stuff. But dude, I bought that, and it was terrible. And so we couldn't do nothing with it. And really, I guess we could have if we would have had the money to, but we really didn't have the money to. You know what I'm saying? And so I just want everyone to really kind of learn from the experiences that we had. So as you are in that stage of maybe you're in the city and you're looking to get out of the city, or maybe you're in the city and you want to urban homestead and maybe trying to figure out some of the nuances to know if you can do that. But for those who are in a city looking to get out of the city, we kind of going to focus on those folks a little bit today on this call. Maybe we might come back with another one as far as knowing some of the ins and outs for urban homesteading. So let's see here. So AJ, man, if I'm in a city and I'm looking to get out of the city and buy some land, maybe raw land. Or land with property. Well, I guess what would be some of the things that I should think about when I'm trying to find this ideal place to start a homestead?
Hey, great question. I think like many of us who are just normal people, the first thing we're going to think about is money.
Yeah.
Man, we're going to think about, well, how much is this land going to cost me? Do I have to finance? What if I don't? Like you mentioned, I have great credit. If my credit position is strong, and I'm meaning like above a 600, can I still buy land? And the answer to that question is yes. There's plenty of creative financing options for any credit type of person out here. And it may mean that we have to create some creative financing between family members by saving the money. Maybe we look at a 401k that we've been saving up at our jobs, or maybe we have a personal loan. I mean, there's so many different ways to find the financing. If you do have credit, yeah, great. Leverage a lender. We'll have that conversation as well. See what type of interest rate we can get you and buy some land. Now, the second thing that you mentioned was and we may have to break this video up, given I know we have a certain time allotted. But the second thing we could look at is if we are going to buy land, do we need to buy that land with a house on it, or could we bring a house to that land? So what I would do if I'm looking for land, I'm looking to get out of the city, is partner with a realtor who knows the area. That realtor should be teaching you and walking you through a process, understanding land type and land usage.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So the land type, you mentioned the rice fields. Had you had a realtor searching with you, that realtor would have done some due diligence, said, hey, we're looking at this type of field. This is utilized for agriculture, ag use. Many of us want to farm on our own land. We want to do gardens, crops, things of that sort, have chicken and other type of animals on our land. Are those even allowed? Do the deed restrictions for that county allow for that type of usage? If the answer is no, guess what? We skip that county over to the next.
Yeah.
And we simply look for whatever parameters you want to use that land for. We look specifically for that type of land, that usage, and we verify the deed restrictions to be sure, hey, if you buy this lot, $10,000, guess what? That half an acre or that acre, all yours.
Wow.
Another thing to think about when you're looking at land, are there utilities on that land? Utilities like electricity. Is there sewer at the property?
Woo, I remember that. Yeah. Goodness.
Cost some money to bring those things to the property, right?
Yeah.
What about the roads? Is it a private road that's shared by ownership around that property? Or is it already a paved road that goes to the property? That's a whole nother thing, right? Many of us use gravel to get to the property line. And then also, is there a survey? What are the boundary lines for the property? These are the conversations go vast. Are there trees on that property?
Yeah.
Do we need a tree survey, not just a land survey for that property, to distinguish whether or not I can cut these trees down, if I have to leave them there? Do I need what's called an arborist, a tree specialist, to look at these? I don't want the oaks. I don't want the crepe myrtles. I don't want. Can I get rid of these trees if I buy this lot?
Yeah.
These are the questions that go into thinking from a city boy, Houston, Texas grown. Come on now.
Yeah.
Sunny, Cloverland, Texas, in the city. Coming out of the city into land use, these are all valid questions, and your realtor should literally slow down and be able to explain, hey, have you thought about these things? Does any of this matter to you? Great, what would you like to use the property for? Do I need to find your house on that property, or do we go buy you a manufactured house for $100,000 and they just bring it to the property? And there's a whole different type of structure set up for that purchase as well, because manufacturers home have vehicle tax. Who knew that? There's a vehicle tax with manufactured homes that are movable.
Just
who knew it, right?
Yeah.
So these things come all into the financial about it. If I only have $10,000 and I need to buy a manufactured home too, and maybe finance that manufactured home, then can I really even purchase the lot for $5,000 and still have enough to buy a house to live? Yeah. So that's where I would start. Again, the realtor being the first step, talking through the finances, helping you prepare a savings plan to get to that number, and then looking for the lot specifically. It may be good to even find it. Yeah, hey, I found a lot, cost this much. Relatively in my mind, I know how much it's going to cost me when I'm ready for it. All right, let's put that number down, save for that, and then talk about how I want to use it, and then also plan for buying the house that's going to go on it. You don't always have to build a big old 1,800, 2,000 square foot home. Yeah. You may start with a manufactured home, live in it, and then go build a dream home in the back of the property. Yeah. Yeah. But again, go ahead. That goes back to the deed restriction and land use, which we will confirm.
Yeah, so I remember when we bought our first property, we bought it in an unincorporated city, and so so we moved into another unincorporated city. I still don't really know what it means. I just knew that HOA wasn't gonna be in there, and ain't nobody about to be yelling at me about or coming to me about my animals, right? And I imagine there's a whole lot more to that. But yeah, on our first property, we had no utilities, man. And I didn't think it was going to be a big deal because we had our camper. We've been living off grid for, a year and some change. So I was like, yeah, we'll just pull a camper out there and then we'll work at it. until I called the power company and I was like, all right, how much is it going to cost me to get electrical out here? Brother, they told me, when I batted an eye, they said, all right, well, the nearest pole is here, the other pole is here. We got to put 15 poles and then another couple of more poles to get to you. So it's going to run about $20,000. I said, $20,000. $20,000. I said, so $20,000 before I have the monthly bill. It was like, yeah. I said, so I gotta pay that first. Can you just put that in my monthly bill? They like, no, you got to buy this first. And I'm sitting there like, oh my goodness. And to run, and so that was just power. We were gonna get a septic and a well. That was fine, but even that alone, that was another $11,000 almost to get a basic well and a basic septic, so those costs added up quick, and I was like, man, if I spend $20,000 on utilities, I mean, on just getting power, I could really buy a whole solar system for that, and that wouldn't be fully adequate, depending on how techy I could build that thing out to support what we needed. And like I said, and at that point we was in a camper. We were looking to we said, okay, well, we got to build a pad site, and we needed a road, so we needed all this stuff. The pad site was going to be $20,000. The road was going to be another $10,000. They said, well, and so people, they were like, well, just dig a pond and use the pond, use it there. I said, okay, yeah. So I got the pond quoted. I said, yeah, it's going to cost $30,000 to dig a half an acre pond. I said, half an acre pond. And then it's what cost me another 10 for them to put it on the road. And for them to make a road out of the dirt. I was like, oh my goodness. And so I realized how much the cost was pretty quick. And again, I didn't have enough money, enough credit to maybe borrow that in order to create that foundation. So I was like, well, we might just be better off selling this and getting something that has a couple more things established, and then continue to work that plan. And so, and that was just our experience right off the top, and we learned a lot in that first property. But it was cool because at the same time, even though we kind of jumped into it feet first, didn't know what we was doing, didn't have no realtor guidance, we just, we read a couple of blogs, watched a couple of vlogs like this, and just went for it, and even though we jumped in there and it was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, God still navigated us through it, right? So he navigated us through it. We was able to sell that property for a profit, and we took the profit and bought the land that we have now that has a road, it has a pad site, it had utilities available. But so what that means. It had utilities available, but them jokers it wasn't put together. So I'm still putting my sewer line together. I got power. I got water. I had to put I had to put a water line in. Lord help me. I got a sewer line. I'm still not done. It's hooked. I passed it. I passed the grading to get it hooked up to the main line, but I still ain't finished code. I got pipe all out there. It's been a fun journey, but knowing those different nuances, you can then plan for costs. You can plan for all that stuff, and even I didn't think it was going to be that much. It wasn't that much to connect it, but it was more to get the pipes together and to rent the equipment to dig it and all that other stuff. So when we talk about, we mentioned earlier different finance options. I know for us, some people, they have bad credit. Like, we got bad credit. Doggone student loans.
We play everybody.
You're right. Shucks. But if you have bad credit, one option that we did, we had seller financed our first property. We saw a sign, had a number on there, called them, gave the guy down payment, set up a legit payment plan. I heard sometimes this stuff can get sideways, but this was legit. We had paperwork, the whole gamut. It wasn't no napkin deal. You know what I'm saying? It was real deal paperwork. And I think that alone kind of gave me some comfort when we was actually setting up the seller finance that I'm not about to get handed over here. But there was another time I got to, we was looking at, when we sold that property, we was looking for another one. The guy was like, yeah, just give me the money. And I was like, nah, bro, no paperwork. No, I want to do a survey or something, And he was like, I do this all the time, man. Yeah, just give me the money. I was like, nah, ain't gonna work, man. When we got into the country, brother, it got different. It got real different out here. I was like, and it was, I guess, it was a normal thing. People do, they do deals like that all the time, and it was, I wanted to do some of my due diligence on the back end as much as I knew to try to do, So what would be some advice that you would give for, you're gonna have everybody from every spectrum. We're gonna have folks who got excellent credit, they already got homes now, maybe they can sell their home and buy something else, or maybe it's folks who don't have a lot of credit, don't have good credit, and they still want to do this homestead deal. They still want to get some land. They still want to chase this dream. What would you recommend for, again, as we talk about financing? We'll start with folks with bad credit. What would you recommend that they could do to acquire some property?
Man, great question. So finances is 100% of the time going to always come up as the first position question, pertaining to like, well, how do I even make this thing work? I want to explain what seller financing is for those who may not know. So seller financing simply means that the owner of the property will originate a note for the buyer, the prospective buyer looking to come and buy that land, meaning that seller will set the terms, set the rate, negotiate the payment with whoever's going to look to buy it, and originate a note. So typically, like Roland mentioned, paperwork comes with this, right? There's usually a transfer title. It's almost like, okay, we'll put it like this, like buying a car. You don't typically get the title until you do what? Pay it off. Right? Yeah. So seller financing is similar to that, where you don't actually you have a note originated that you pay on, but a promissory note or a promise to pay. You still get that note, right? And as a buyer, you don't have to carry the mortgage. It's seller financed, meaning that the seller carries and holds the mortgage note, or the mortgage note, the debt. But the buyer gets to actually make payments towards that debt to pay that debt off. And once it's actually paid off, the agreement's put in place, or the purchase agreement is put in place to say, hey, once Roland pays off this set amount of debt, we can then transfer title to Roland as owner of the property. Mm-hmm. The thing about seller financing is this: the seller is also the bank. So if we miss 2 or 3 payments and we haven't had any communication with the seller whatsoever, seller can't get a hold of the buyer for whatever reason, the seller can then hold the note, what we would consider foreclose the note, and take back ownership of the property. Well, they already have ownership of it, but it's partial because someone's paying on it. Someone else is paying on it. But seller financing is a great alternative for anybody if you don't have credit, go to seller finance route. There's also an alternative to that. It's called hard money lending. A hard money lender is kind of like seller financing, except it's a private person. If I'm the private person, I have $100,000, and I'm saying, hey, I got private money. If you want to use it to go and buy some land, great. You need $10,000, you can go to a hard money lender, aka me, the private lender. I have $100,000 of my own money. You want $10,000 to $50,000 of it? I can originate a note. I can help qualify you through whatever qualifications I want to put you through. You can borrow the money from me, with the agreement that in 3 to 5 years you pay back the full amount, or there's some type of interest set up after some payment, right? So there's so many different ways to structure the financing. Or you pay cash. I mentioned you can go the 401k route, or you leverage credit. Maybe you have a lot of credit cards and you haven't utilized them. Utilize all that credit and do what's called a cash advance. You want to advance the cash out, advance the credit to yourself into an account, and then you buy whatever properties you want to buy. That's also great. Keeping in mind that, guess what? You got to pay the credit back. The credit card interest is expensive. It's 26%.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, and for those who have credit, of course, the lending route is the obvious choice.
Yeah.
is to go the lending route, right? There's different types of land use mortgages you can get. The goal here is this: if you're looking to buy the land, though, make sure there's paperwork involved. Make sure there's title work, a title company pulling the title work for you, meaning there's information about every piece of property out there. We consider every lot. In real estate, we consider it a parcel, Parcel, a parcel of land. You want to make sure you get the paperwork on that parcel. Who's the real owner of it before you give any money out? Are there any liens against that property with that owner? What we consider encumbrances. Are there more than one owner? Is there more than one owner
Mm.
of that property? Are you speaking to the only owner that has responsibility of that property? Why? Because if you're paying for a property and you can't transfer a title to yourself once you pay it off, and guess what? A non-transferable title means that that property has no value, none whatsoever. So the due diligence piece is great. We got a lot of checks and balances. We need 30 days before we can buy this property. Why?
Yeah.
It's because I want to make sure that we do all the research possible before we put our finances to it, before you give you whatever amount of money for that property, right? So we can do all the creative financing we can do and want to do for the property, but we got to make sure the use is right, or the utilities and all these other things that we need at the property, or else the bill goes up. And then, do we need to move on to that property immediately? If not, we don't need to worry about a manufactured home. Just get the land.
Yeah.
We can work on getting a manufactured home later.
Yeah.
Keep your rental property, keep your apartment, whatever it is. Go buy the lot, and you build a lot while you live in your apartment. You build it out. You go and finance the manufactured home to go and be brought over to your land over time. You already got the land for its use. You just pay your taxes on it. That's it. One thing to watch out for if you're going to do that route and you're not living on the lot is watch out for squatters.
Uh,
There are squatters' rights in every state. You want to know the squatters' rights in your state, because if you buy a lot, someone pulls their camper on it, they're living on that lot, they may not be paying a lick of utilities. You pay all the taxes, guess what? That squatter may be able to say, hey, I'm entitled to live here. Nobody's ever kicked me off. I've been here 30, 60, 90 a year, and no one's ever kicked me off. I'll get squatters' rights for this property, right? Because they've never had communication with the owner, and they've moved onto, say, a 20-acre lot, farmland. They position themselves off maybe 1 acre of that 20 acres, and no one's ever pushed them off. Then great, they may have squatters' rights. All right. You also want to make sure, yeah, you also want to make sure that if you're looking at land, that you're not landlocked. And that means that
yeah.
there's no road to your property, there's no entryway and access point to your property. You're locked all around by land. Well, that land has no use. Again, it goes back to transferable title. If I don't have access to my land, why buy it?
Yeah.
Don't just buy something you clicked online and saw on Zillow, Realtor.com. Oh, there's a lot. It's $5,000. Let's buy it. Without doing any due diligence, you're in for a world of hurt, because then your resale value is zero.
Yeah, I seen that. I remember when we were looking at one time, we saw this piece of land. I said, "Oh, honey, it's a couple of acres, only for a couple of thousand. Yes, let's do this." And I'm looking, and it said, as I kind of got as I was reading the description, it said accessible by boat, and I was like, "What?" I'm like, legitimately accessible by boat. You had to boat into that thing from around the corner, and I looked at it, I said, that is crazy. Like, who buys that? But I've heard folks, I guess they'd use like a duck lease or something like that, and they'll do something like that. But I'm like, that's crazy, man. And yeah, I've seen a lot of property where they're landlocked, and there's I don't know there's no way to get into it. I'm like, how you even sell that? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know, man.
And another way is to have your realtor look for investors who own lots, who are trying to get rid of them. Those investors may sell or finance those lots as well. They're always trying to get rid of lots for cheap, or they may do what's called, we can do it in Texas, and/or signs. They may assign you a lot, so they may get the lot under contract.
Okay, yeah.
$50,000 lot, they may get it under contract at $2,000 from a very motivated seller, and say, hey, I'm looking to sell this lot for $3,000 to whatever end buyer. Look for those investors too, right? Because even though they may make $1,000 from that deal, you get a $3,000 lot for cash from a motivated seller. There's already title work in place. The title company's already doing the paperwork in the background, looking at the lot, to get it done. You bring your 3,000, great. You got your lot. And typically the zoning is the last part. You want to make sure the zoning is correct. You want to make sure you get residential property zoning or not necessarily commercial property, but agricultural use property, like you mentioned before, for your zoning. And it may be ag residential, some kind of blend of a mix, but we want to make sure we do the due diligence on that too, because there's USDA financing.
Mm-hmm.
That's zero down. You only bring your closing costs.
Mm.
You may qualify for it, but you need the credit to get there,
Yeah.
right? There's conventional financing. There's all sorts of types of financing that a lending professional can give you. Have vendors for those things. And speaking of vendors, the lender is a vendor. The people that do your utilities, who bring in the plumbing, the sewer, the well work, the electricity, those vendors are important. We may make vendors bid on your services, and you get the lowest bid.
Boom.
Give you some money, right?
Come on.
There's all sorts of ways to finance property,
Yeah.
but the usage of the property is the most important, which is why you get to a professional. A dentist works on teeth. They do it
Yeah.
every day. They're
Yeah.
professionals working on teeth. They know teeth.
Yeah.
I got an overbite. I'm never going to get it fixed. But they know teeth and will recommend it to me. Well, as a realtor, we know real estate use, all those different things, upside down and in our sleep. We do real estate.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you have to hire the realtor that you speak with. You speak with the realtor, you get all the advice you need. If you can take it from there, hey, take it from there. But the benefit in utilizing a realtor in your transactions is you cover all bases. You can sleep at night.
Yeah.
And you have a point person to say, great, give me your vendors. Let me utilize your list of people whom you know, and you leverage the realtor as your savings account.
Yeah. Boom.
Borrow money from family. Ask your family to go in with you, and what you could do is give them a share of title to the property. Right? You get 3 family members that want to pitch in money, put them on the title. You all own the land.
Come on.
Build it out, do whatever you need to do with it. And as the value of the land increases, if you ever resell it in the future, great. Create a will, create an intent of use, get a lawyer involved, real estate attorney involved, and say, hey, if we ever dissolve this property, here's how we'll split it up.
Yeah.
The way the family never has to fight about it. The probate really isn't never an issue. Probate is really when someone dies, you have to pass the property along through the family. Those things never become an issue because you've already taken care of that early on, right? All these things are advantages and tools that you'll get and knowledge pieces you'll get from a realtor that can help you and advise you as to what to do with buying land. So if you're coming out of the city to go get some land, I don't care if the city's incorporated or not. The only difference really in corporation or not, Houston's incorporated.
Yeah.
There's city officials, there's city planners, there's a governor, there's all kinds of stuff over the state. But in the city of Houston, you got all these different high officials in place. Why? Because they fight for your land use, where schools go, where roads go, where power goes. Unincorporated cities don't really have that. It's kind of like, we just do our own thing.
Wild, wild west.
Yeah, we just manage it the way we want to manage it and do what we want to do.
Yeah, it's a wild, wild west out here, man.
Right. So you don't have so much structure in the city. Even though land may be cheap, the structure may not be there. So your nearest marketplace could be 30 minutes away, 45 minutes away. You willing to make that drive? You willing to get gas canisters to last you 6 months worth of gas because you may run out trying to get down the road to get groceries and come back.
Very true.
Right. So all those things are going to be factors that I would consider, and just slow down. That might be one of the best words of advice. Slow down, take your time, give yourself 6 months to a year to maybe really, really plan it out to make sure your game plan is solid. If you get prepared sooner than that, great, no problem. But give yourself time, because once you locate the right property, everything else kind of puzzle pieces together to make sure the deal can happen the right way for you.
Man, and it's so true. I know for us, we're definitely feet first. You get the idea and just go for it. And in some cases that's good, and in other cases it's not, right? We're very action oriented. But you want to have action with wisdom at the same time, and so I wholeheartedly agree with that. Once you start researching, Go through that research process. Take some time. Even if you have to save up money, even if you have to, maybe even try to get creative with, okay, if I do this, do I still want to have my same job? Is there a way that I could get myself to the country and still keep my same job? Kind of even working out all of that stuff on the back end. Just take some time to think that stuff through. What would end up. I can, again, speaking from just personal experience, as we have moved out to where we're at now, it happened. It worked out that my job had a position open in another city, and I could move outside of the city and not be that far from it, so still be able to leverage the benefits of a city, but living out in the country that's cheaper than buying country property outside of Houston, where it's going to be a lot more expensive. So again, but take that time to just research and plan. I mean, you don't have to have this stuff done tomorrow. You didn't have to have it done yesterday. So absolutely take your time. Find a realtor, find someone who be willing to help you. Because I can tell you this: when we got to the point of getting ready to sell our last property, I wanted to sell it with a realtor. I wasn't gonna try to sell it by myself. Maybe because I had some crazy neighbors anyway, and I knew they was gonna be trying to pull the wool and all that other stuff. So I need a realtor. Every percentage point that they were gonna charge, it was all good.
It's not much. It's not much.
Yeah. It wasn't much. It really wasn't much in the grand scheme. It wasn't much for what we paid for how much we profited dealing with these people. Now, when I bought this new one, I didn't use a realtor because I was trying to save as much money as I could, but I had a better idea of what I was looking for.
And that's okay too. You literally, to interject, you don't have to use a realtor. It's literally is the price you're paying as a buyer. Keep in mind, you typically, in the state of Texas, you typically do not have to pay your buyer's agent for their services, because in Texas, it's a seller state. Sellers typically pay, sellers are working with a listing agent to sell their property and negotiate a percentage to go towards the buyer's agent's fee, meaning that the buyer's agent can then work for their buyer for free. And I can explain that later, but typically you don't have to pay your buyer's agent for the knowledge and wisdom, but utilize their services still. Another thing you did mention about jobs. Make sure your job is flexible. Make sure that if you have been at your job for a longer length of time and that you're remote, that they're not going to have you go back into the office, because that could put a damper into buying the lot. Also, with using a lender to finance your lot, if there's a home on it or a like a manufactured home on it, there's different types of financing, and based on the quality of that home, sometimes lenders just won't lend on it, period. So you want to know that before you commit to buying the property as well. But utilizing a realtor, whether you're selling or buying, the other percentages according to us being paid, because we have to feed our family too, like any working individual. But that percentage point can be negotiated, right? Sometimes realtors get back money too. That can be negotiated, so ask your realtor that. And then also keep in mind that it's small potatoes compared to you making sure you do your real estate transaction the correct way.
Absolutely. It's definitely well worth the fee, right? So, man, let's see what else. I don't have anything else on my list here. Let me see. Okay. All right, so let's see. So we talked about a lot of that. Man, what y'all think? Is there anything else that I want to make sure that we hit for that new perspective, for that new person looking to buy land? Because again, and this is cut video portion right here, but I'm really trying to help those who are looking to transition out, right? So that they're in the city, they want to get out the city, and they want to start this homesteading journey. Maybe you can do just a little bit on the urban homesteading. So let's say they're in the city, right? They're in the city, and they want to start doing some homesteading type of things, growing food, maybe having some animals. What are some of the things that they need to research to know if they can do that where they at, kind of thing? You know what I'm saying?
So
I'm gonna intro that. Let me intro that. So I'm gonna intro that, and then we. Okay. All right. Three, two, one. So, so for those who are in the city, right? They're in the city. They've been watching these videos, right? And they all excited about Homestead. They want to grow some food. They want to get some chickens, goats. They may not have a whole lot of land. They may be in a well-developed neighborhood, point 0.014 acre. What are some things that they need to know or find out or research, and so they can figure out what in this homesteading kind of thing I could do with the land that I have access to right now. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. So urban city living, and I've dealt with this before. When you're looking for homesteading in an urban development, meaning in the city that's corporated, right? There are city restrictions and deed restrictions on every lot.
Mhm.
We just want to make sure that we check the deed restrictions in the city permitting for that lot and the zoning use. Meaning we want to make sure if it's residential and I got neighbors that have houses, that maybe there's not an HOA.
Mhm.
We don't want a homeowners association restricting the use of the property, right? So look for those areas that are outside of an HOA or have no HOA. The other word would be POA. These are people who come together. They're not a homeowners association, but they're the people of the community who have the owners association. They have a say on the uses of the city. So you may find a lot in a non-HOA area. Make sure that you can utilize it for gardening, which any house anywhere in Texas, you can use your backyard for gardening. You don't have to get permission for that. You can utilize your own backyard for it. Now, chickens may be another thing. Small piglets, quail are another thing. You want to make sure that you have permission to house those or have those on your property site in whatever community that you're looking at. Those aren't hard to find out, and your realtor can help you to do that research. And your title companies should always have deed restrictions on file to let you know how you can actually utilize a certain property, and you'll write that into your purchase agreement when you buy the land. I'm a little hoarse, so forgive me. I'm trying to drink my water. Literally, urban city homesteading is not difficult at all. You get the convenience of being around all the city amenities. That's a plus. You also get the growth in the land value over time because of your usage of that land, and possibly you could build a house on that land later and increase its value. Who knows, right? Depends on how you want to use it. I would look just outside of the city where it's not so busy, where you still have communities but no HOA. And I don't care if you're buying just a quarter of an acre, half an acre, it doesn't matter how much land you buy, just get the land. Get the land. Maybe fence it up if you can.
Yeah.
So that you know it's yours. Make sure you got an actual mailing address.
Oh man, a mailing address.
It could be on a county road, right? So you want to make sure you apply for that with the county to make sure you have an actual address for that property, and that way you can utilize it as your homestead. Now, obviously for homestead, you have to live on the land to get the homestead, right? You have to live on it. It has to be your primary address for you to homestead it. Just like any other property, you got to live on it as your primary place of residence. But just land use in and of itself, you may just start there before you build something on it or before you put a manufactured home on it. And again, look at the deed restrictions and city restrictions for urban living to be sure you can bring a camper, mobile home, manufactured home, whatever type of home we want to put on there.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we can do that before you commit to buying it.
So if I already own a home and let's say I'm living in a neighborhood, how would I find out what kind of restrictions we have? If I can get some ducks, or if I can get chicken or quail, or if I can get bees, right? So it is safe to say that where I'm at, I can grow some food. The question is going to come if I can have some chickens and other animals is where you're getting at. And so how would I find that? Do I talk to HOA? What is it? What would I do?
Not at all. So your county, every county is, I don't care if it's Harris County, Montgomery County, doesn't matter. The county itself imposes the restrictions on the lots.
Okay.
The county. So again, these deed restrictions are within the county, right? Whatever county you're in. So you can go there, and typically any title company should be able to run the title and I would go with someone that's local in your actual county, maybe closer in your city. Go to those title companies and maybe actually pick up the phone and call, hey, I'm an owner here in this county at this address. I need to pull my deed restrictions. I need to know the city restrictions regarding my land use to make sure I can utilize it for quail, bees, chicken, cows, pigs, all the land use we typically use for.
Yeah.
Just west of 99, I have my wife's family have a large acreage of about 4 or 5 houses out there. They have pigs and chicken and dogs and all kinds of stuff on it, not even gated up. They got a lot of land out there. And the city is trying to pass through a road through their land. Well, guess what? When the city tries to use this as a certain terminology for it, when the city tries to use that power to be able to pave roads through your lot, you can actually get paid for that.
Yeah.
So whatever portion of that lot that they're trying to take away from you, you can get paid for that. According to the land value, right? So again, it goes back to city use, city restriction, deed restrictions on that property. Just do the proper research with your county and go to your local title companies. The information is free. You don't have to pay for that type of information to draw that information, whether you're an owner or not. You don't have to pay for it. Again, partner with a local realtor who can actually explain these things for you. And then the financing conversation kind of comes after that with trying to get you over the hump as far as financing goes. I will say this as a last thing. If you work a primary job that's paying your main bills, find a side hustle. Uber Eats, Amazon, Amazon, it's like a little, I forget the name of it. It's like a little Amazon.
FBA. Amazon Flex.
Find a side hustle that you can put aside, ambit delivery. You can do delivery packages. Find those side hustles that can put away money for you. And you just watch that account and grow over time, where it doesn't come out of your main income where you're paying your bills out of, but you do have to spend the extra time to work towards your goal. It may be $250 a week, but hey, that's $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And you just count up the months. All right, by the end of the year, I got 12,000. I'm gonna find my lot, right? And it's gonna cause you to hustle. It's gonna cause you to be tired, but that's your second job towards your dream to get that homestead property, right? So don't despise small beginnings. Don't despise the work, and then keep your dreams to yourself. Keep it between you, your family, your immediate family, your God, which I would say Jesus Christ. Keep it between you. And if you have a realtor, your realtor.
Yeah.
Let them plan this thing out with you. Continue to ask as many questions as you can. Utilize YouTube, Google, do the research, do the due diligence. An informed buyer is the best buyer. A knowledgeable buyer is the best buyer. And don't be afraid to just leap like you did. Take a leap of faith. Just jump in. Don't be afraid of doing that. But also know the risk. Take calculated risk when you jump in to whatever type of, I don't care if it's a lot, a house, commercial property, quadruplex. I got investors looking at quads. It doesn't matter what type of property you're looking at. Take your time to do the research first. So when you make that calculated jump, it's a sure jump. You got to step on the other side of that jump. You don't fall off the cliff, right? So, and that's it. And there's ways to recover too. When you make a mistake, are there ways to recover? Yes. Can it be expensive? Recovery steps? Yeah, it could be expensive recovery measures, but at least you made the step and took the leap of faith to get the knowledge. But again, leverage experts, leverage a professional. I work in, again, Austin, all of its surrounding areas, Houston, all of its surrounding areas, Beaumont as well. I'm out there in Beaumont as well, Baytown. I mean, you name it, I'm there. I don't work in Galveston, so can't help you there. But and I'm not in San Antonio either. So again, Colleen, Temple, I can take care of you. I'm just an expert in the field. I want to teach, not just take another transaction, but teach you the process, love on you, and hopefully get you a mansion on earth and one in heaven.
Come on, boom, man. I mean, I did again, dude. Appreciate the insights, man, and I'm really hoping with this conversation that it kind of gets some thoughts going. And so if you're getting value from this video, click that like button, drop a comment below so we can see that. AJ, how can folks get in contact with you? They're looking at Texas. They want to find some land. They want to homestead. Maybe they outside of the state. They want to come into the state and find a good place to homestead and start this whole country living journey, but not have to deal with maybe the politics of their state. How can they reach you?
All right, so I typically don't give out my phone number, so you'll have to reach me on social media or by email. to get
That's
to me.
cool.
So we'll leave my information in the subject line in the comments below
Yeah.
as well. But typically it's ajrandle at kw.com. So it's AJRANDLE at kw.com. I'm on Instagram as well. My IG handle is AJTX Realtor, REALTOR, AJ Texas Realtor, or Facebook, AJ spell out Texas, TEXAS Realtor as well. So AJ Texas Realtor, wherever you can Google me, AJ Randall Realtor. I'm on there as well. Got plenty of reviews for everyone to research. And again, email is going to be the best way. On my Instagram, I have a link tree. Feel free to utilize any link there as well. Let's schedule some time, have a consultation and a quick meeting to talk about your needs and see what we can do to work together to meet them.
For sure, man. Excellent. So again, I have all that in the description below, y'all. So again, hope you're getting some value. Hope you got some value out of this video, out of this conversation. Man, AJ, I definitely appreciate your time, man. You are awesome. It's so cool to be able to work with your friends that you grew up with, and just have this whole thing come together. You know, it's just all about adding value to folks' life and helping them get to the places that they want to be. You know, so as we're walking this journey out, man, we want to share what we have learned, share what we've gone through, and help you avoid and navigate some of those mistakes. Like I said, so when we look to upgrade this place, best believe we're gonna have a realtor.
Come on now.
We're gonna have a realtor because when we go from this acre and some change, you know, we're gonna step it up to a whole nother level, and we definitely gonna need a realtor. And I'm AJ to be the first one I'm calling, you know. So super excited. So anyways, y'all, hey, again, if you've liked this video so far, again, click that like button, click the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.